that, which keeps spinning round, is this. Because that's brilliance, or brightness, in modern words, volume, horizontal hold. That's brightness, that's volume. Horizontal hold is paired up with volume, and that's horizontal hold. So that has got to be that, therefore that is the width, and look, that's a potentiometer, which, yeah, and that, it looks like choke, an inductor, but that would not, to me, explain why that just continually spins without it unscrewing. That should, if that was an inductor, then surely that would slowly unscrew out. I don't know, it's a Philips, they're weird. Philips are weird. Buck the trend, pretty much every trend of what every other manufacturer does in some way. I'm just I'm just trying to work this out. This, I saw this earlier and didn't really think too much about it. And of course it makes sense now that that would be an inductor. This should come in and out. So this should move this way, that way on that axis. So this should move this way, that way. As you turn this, and this here is supposed to catch into these grooves, spiral grooves, and move it. At least that's what it seems to me. But it's not. Oh, well, it can't, look, because it's fixed in. The thing that holds that in is fixed in. Am I being stupid? Don't answer that, please. Because I think the answer is obvious. Ugh. Am I just chasing myself down a rabbit hole here? But surely if that's an inductor, surely it would. Get on. Surely it would move something in and out. I am struggling to understand this. You see that? Oh, bash the camera, why don't I? Right. That there, here, looks like it's screws or something. What the hell is going on with this? Okay, I've worked this out. That, as you probably now noticed, is further to the left. Right, and consequently this, the lighting is awful in here, isn't it? This here has gone further in. As you can see, if I use my finger as a background, that is attached to that. See, look, they're both attached to each other, look. So as this moves along, it moves this into there. So yeah, I thought that if it's an inductor, there should be something that moves in and out. I thought that the whole thing moved in and out, but no, of course it doesn't. But this should turn freely, and then this slots into these spiral grooves. But this thing is just so crusty and corroded that it needs me to turn this with one hand and actually physically help it along and move it with a finger. It's I'm just going to set it to its middle point, because I think that was set so far off that it was beyond the point where it would have any sort of effect of the circuit that it's integrated into. At least that's my theory. I'm probably wrong, but let's see. Okay, so I want to check the EHT first. So I have got the anode cap off the tube, off the connector on the tube. So we're looking for any kind of spark from there. Only the tiniest amount. You can hear the speaker sparking. Okay, I noticed this earlier, but I didn't think too much about it. Have a look at that. I don't know the value, I've not checked it yet, but that here is meant to be a resistor. And if you look at the paint like immediately behind it, it looks as though that resistor has got so hot that the dog has barked. Yeah, it's got so hot, look, that it's discoloured the paint on the capacitor, the colouring on the capacitor. Now that, when I look at this, let me just move that back into place so I can demonstrate. That is connected there. One side of, let me just get my pointing tool, something to point with. That resistor is connected to one side of this capacitor here in that, what do you call it, that disjunction coil here. And then at the other half of it, at the other side, they're both connected, same here. So what I suspect, looks like that capacitor has gone short circuit, leaky or short circuit, because the resistor across it, because the resistor is directly parallel to it, that's caused a shitload, that's an official measurement, a shitload of current to go through there, cook that resistor, which then has damaged the capacitor further by heating it up, and at the very least burning the, or discolouring the outside of the capacitor, probably causing further damage on the inside. Yeah. Next thing to do then is voltage checks. I'm going to check this capacitor anyway. I'll have to check the resistor because the resistor will have gone as high as Mick Jagger. That, yeah, will be short circuit. Yeah, I think it's fallen off now, but I could swear that one of these paint strips on it was actually peeling off. That resistor is cooked. By the looks of it, it's done for, it's finished. It's finito. That capacitor is this one here, and the resistor that is barbecued, is resistor 98 there. So, yeah, this keyboard is messy. It's had a lot to put up with being out in the garage. Right, so I want to zoom in. So Control and plus, and in this we are looking for capacitor 78, which is going to be on this, which is the time base panel. Where are you? 41, 37. Is it going to be on here actually? Okay. There's another layer to the circuit diagram. Right, capacitor 66, wasn't it? Yep. Right, I think we're getting closer. That's 62, 64, 68. There you are. And that feeds cathode of the line output valve. So yeah, if that has gone leaky, then then there's not going to be much emission from the line output valve, which is what feeds into the line output transformer, which then feeds into the EHT rectifiers. Oh sorry, those are the HT rectifiers, aren't they? Where's the EHT rectifier on this thing? What? But that's the line out. Oh, that's the frame output. Oh, duh! It says it right there. Duh. Right. So frame output. That's going to be affecting the frame. Right, but that's going to be affecting the size of the picture, but we're not concerned with that at the moment because we need to even see a picture on here. See what I mean about Philips? Normally, let me just zoom this out. Any normal manufacturer would have the frame stage here and the line stage here. But no, Philips have to be different, don't they? Right. So in that case, we are looking for the boost capacitor, which is it, that one there, capacitor 57. Right, so it's fed from the vision detector interference limiter. So it goes, where are we? It's from there, down there, down there, down here, into a voltage divider, can't be it, surely. That can't be it. I suppose it must be. Unless that's it, but that's very unlikely. Yeah, it must be. Right, because look, I was thinking that this side was the HT feed to it. It's not. Oh, sorry, I was thinking that this side was the HT feed to it. It's not, it's this side, look. So if I direct from there, yeah, that's got to be the boost capacitor. That's got to be. Yep, that is the boost capacitor. That definitely is, because this, further up the service manual, it gives waveforms. Right, but as a point of reference for where you connect up your oscilloscope, if ever you need any waveforms, which I can't be bothered to do, if you need to take any waveforms, it gives these references, and it's given you, even though everything is connected up in the same way, it's just a different drawing of the same thing. And look, that's valve 18, which it was on the previous page, and look, capacitor 57, boosted HT volts. Yep, that is it. That is definitely what we're looking for here. And also I needed to know this, HT 180, boosted HT 400. Right, so yeah, so now I can check whether the power supply is working, and also whether we're getting that. So now I need to measure this. I know that my diagnostic seems to be a little bit out of order. I should have checked that first, but yeah, I think it's just the confusion because I'm doing everything on a camera now rather than just thinking everything through in my head. Right, so I'll get used to it. So I'm measuring the HT high tension rail through the TV. Not the boosted HT, not that. Just the HT. Supposed to be 180 volts. We have lost 100 volts. We've only got 86. That voltage has dropped very slightly, and it keeps on bouncing around. So I would say first thing I want to have a look at is whether either of these two, which are the mains rectifiers, this circuit converts AC to DC. I want to check if those mains rectifiers, if either of them are, well, bad. Yeah. And also possibly that smoothing capacitor as well. In fact, I'd say very likely that smoothing capacitor, but I want to check both of those first. And I'm in luck. PY82. I've got 2 new ones and 3 used ones. I'm going to try finding a used one or a couple of used ones, because I'm not wasting new valves on this thing. You wouldn't believe that this is used, would you? But nevertheless, it was in my used valve drawer and it had no cardboard box with it, so shrug of the shoulders and I'll put it in. Okay, I've just put the new valve in back there. It's the shinier one of those two. I have just tried to switch this on. Well, I just have switched this on and seen what it does. So this is connected to the HT rail, which should be 180 volts. Watch this. Let's switch it on. So it goes up, obviously, way past where it was. So it's going up and then it's sinking back down. I think there's going to be either a valve that's got an intermittent short or one of these capacitors. Maybe that one, maybe any of the others that's leaky. Any that are connected to the HT rail. And that is capacitor 71. Where were we? Trying to do this left-handed. Capacitor 71 is that one there, which is that one from June 1954, June 54. It seems, yeah, it's doing the same. I've swapped this valve over with the other valve that I'd taken out. Right, so it's still doing the same. Yep, that is still about 100 volts lower than it should be. That is our next, this is our next suspect, but the strange thing is, it doesn't even feel hot. I think dealing with the camera is really, yeah, the HT is actually on point, pretty much. Right, I've just connected it up to that capacitor. The capacitor's fine, the valves are fine. But if I connect it back to this point here, I have to support it a bit, otherwise it'll fall off. We get 83 volts. Right. We've got issues here. So we've got, I want to see where this is going short circuit. So we've got the right voltage here. At the top of that we have, yeah, I know the gloves don't fit very well. So I want to test what valve, the output of valve 12. Right, which one of those two is valve 12? We should be able to trace it actually, because capacitor 71 is connected to the other one. Right, so tracing this yellow wire here goes behind the tar capacitor. It seems to go to the front one. Let me just double check. And I'm gonna, oh, it's making noises. It could be either of them. It's this one. I've just had to check it with my eyes. It's this one here, not the other one further over there. It's this one. So that must mean then that the one that we're looking for is that one there. I've just realised that what have I blown? Oh, there we are. Should tell me to be a bit more careful, but anyway, that, which is 177, is exactly the same as I am riding on the short bus today, but also something else I've noticed. It's not very well defined on there, but both of those are actually connected to each other. I thought that this one was connected up there and that one was connected over here. I didn't know that they were both joined to capacitor 71 until I've just noticed there. Yeah, that PY81 there looks looks more gassy than your old man after a Christmas Day lunch. Yeah. Look at that, see the rainbow pattern there? Yeah. That one was clearly laying at an angle on the production line when they came to print it. Okay, it is not capacitor 57, and it's not the PY81 either. It's starting to look like it could be this resistor, this peach resistor here, which is that one there. See, because when I connect to the boost capacitor, we have 410 volts, so we have boost HT. When I connect to, and I'm going to have to use my own eyes for this, when I connect to the HT side of the boost HT rectifier, we have 174 or 170, something like that. When I connect to that, and I will be really careful here, really careful. When I connect to there, which is the same as the HT side of the boost HT rectifier, we get the same voltage, of course. But when I connect here, that is 90. Now, that feeds into there. That actually would seem to be about right. I thought that this was a fault, but now this is making sense. Now, so it goes to the screen of PL81, which there's that voltage table. There's something quoting the voltage. Ah, there we are. Screen of the PL81, which is 97. 97 should be pin 8. It doesn't show on there. PL81, PL81. And it doesn't say on there either. Okay. Yeah. That is the screen, pin 8, 97 volts. So again, that's correct. Right. So could we have a Duff line output valve, Duff EHT rectifier, or even a Duff line output transformer itself? I'm hoping we don't. You can tell that I'm not used to doing Philips sets, can't you? And this is now something that I remember is not unique to Philips sets from the 50s. Let me just get this out. Where would you say that valve 17 is on here? It's not that one, not that, not that, not that, none of those, and of course neither of those that would dealt with those. Where would you say it is? It's not in a valve socket, because it doesn't have a valve socket. I had forgotten that this kind of valve existed for a while. EHT rectifier. You see this black tube thing here, this really dirty. That is a valve, but it does not have a socket. It has two wires coming out of one end, from what I remember, that are soldered in, and one wire coming out the other end that is soldered in. I honestly feel like a complete dunce now, because I've just been spending the best part of, what, 25 minutes, half an hour, maybe more than that. Is that broken off? Oh. Disassembling this thing, learning how to disassemble it, including taking the ion magnet off, because I didn't realise that this was a socket. I thought that because that was so tightly, and I thought that that was permanently wired into there, but anyway, yeah, I've spent the best part of 25 minutes disassembling this, being confused, getting myself in a kind of whatever, and it happens to be that I am hoping, because of what needs, the amount of deconstruction that would need if that was faulty. I'm hoping that that's not faulty. This thing just gets even weirder and weirder. Let me put these on here. These, turn that off. These are both the same valve. They're both PL81s. Obviously, people are going to be thinking, but that snapped off. No, it hasn't. No. That is, I've never ever come across a PL81 that needed the top soldering on. Let me show you. That is the line output valve. If you're American, the horizontal output valve. This is what the top of that left valve was connected to it. And so that is just the normal top. That's just a normal cap for the top of a valve, like that one, like the PY81 there. So why did they make a PL81 with no cap on? Every other PL81 I've ever come across has come up with that, and these were a very, very popular valve in black and white televisions from the 50s into the early 60s, and then resurrected again in the late 60s and early 70s for the first black and white portables, like this one. This thing is testing my knowledge. We are edging closer. There's still nothing on the screen. Don't know if you can hear this, but now I adjust the horizontal hold. I can hear a faint line whistle. I mean, I could earlier, but it was even fainter than this. Now I can hear it very clearly. Not as loud as it still should be, still nowhere near, but I can hear that. Don't know if you lot can, but I can. Okay, I have no doubt that the line oscillator is running to some extent, simply because the line whistle varied with the horizontal hold control, which is up there. I'm pointing up there, but it's on the other side of the chassis. It's on this control thing up here. Anyway, I am thinking that there's not much of the horizontal, sorry, that's an Americanism, horizontal oscillator or line oscillator as output getting to the line output valve. That just shows you how crusty this thing is. This is the resistor that feeds into the control grid of the line output valve, which is here, pin 2 of a PL81. And pin 2 line output PL81 should be somewhere between -13 and -30. Let's see what we get there. We're definitely getting there. We're definitely narrowing it down. That is, it's not minus because I've got the cables the right way around. That's grounded, that's not. That is connected to pin 2, and that is +17. That should be -13, somewhere between -13 and 30 at the least. Okay, we're getting close. It's either that resistor or a capacitor that feeds it. I've not shown you, but there is a capacitor that feeds that. And I think we get ever nearer to a diagnosis. This capacitor, C55, is part of the line oscillator. Right? The line output valve forms the other part of the line oscillator. That feeds between the screen grid of one half of the line oscillator and the control grid of the line output valve, which is the other half of the line oscillator. So that's looks like a multi-vibrator. In fact, is it? It might be a blocking oscillator because it's got that. I really need to read on the description of this, but yeah, that, if that goes open or partly open, then that can block some or all of the line sync pulses getting from one half of the oscillator to the other. Reason why I come to that conclusion is when you look at the state of that capacitor. This isn't the worst, but Not the worst capacitor I've ever seen, but look at it, it's breaking apart. I've only got a quarter of an hour left on the camera and the other battery is not charged, so I'm hoping, praying that either that or that resistor or this resistor that you saw a few minutes ago is going faulty. I've just ripped another hole on there, but I'm praying, and it looks as though we're getting there because the voltage was way off. Right, I think we're making some progress towards getting something on that screen. Finally, right. That resistor measures okay. You can see it. This one, well, you can't see the resistor itself, I don't think, but the lead that I'm touching that's attached to that resistor measures okay. At 1K, it measures about 978 ohms, so that's close enough. This resistor, which I will show you in a minute or two on the circuit diagram, that is 470k, because it's yellow, purple, yellow. That's actually measured up, that actually measures at about 700k, so that one's a little bit out of tolerance. But now I'm testing this capacitor, and there is no, first of all for the value, there is no eye opening at all, apart from at the very end as usual, because that's where it goes off the scale inside, but there is no eye opening at all on there. Doesn't matter what power thing I have. Oh, it measures something there. I tested it earlier on that and it was completely open. But it should not do that though. Hang on, I've got it. Put it on. I had it on electrolytic. But yeah. I move it all around. That capacitor is behaving weird. That is weird. So that is just measuring the value in capacitance in microfarads. That's weird. And then when I measure the actual leakage, nothing. So yep, that capacitor is coming out. So I've replaced the capacitor and resistor. I've switched it off from here at this time. Let's see what we get. Now I did switch it on just for a moment, but I didn't look for or see anything on the screen. The line oscillator, line whistle is now quite a bit louder than it was before. You can hear the frame stage running. To reach right round the reach right round the side of this thing to get that. That is definitely louder. That is certainly louder. do we have anything on the screen? No. There is not a dicky bird there. I've still got 9 minutes left on the camera. Let's see if we can get a picture on this tonight. As you can hear, the line whistle is now loud and clear. So, I've been investigating why the picture is so dim that it could be a reality TV star. Right, so I've been taking some voltages. Oh, and when I've been shorting cathode to ground, I've been adjusting the ion trap magnet. Nothing. Right, so I've been taking some voltage readings here. I think that we should still have seen something though, but when I was shorting cathode to ground or whatever, but yeah. That voltage is about 95, so that's within spec on pin 11 of the tube. That's at 370, so it's a little bit low, but nothing to worry about, I don't think. Whereas this on grid 2, pin 2, sorry, is way below this. It's at 23. Major development, kind of. It's 12:30, 25 to 1 really, on the 25th of April. Can't even remember what day of the week it is. I think it's a Tuesday, but I can't remember. Major but minor development. See that? We are finally very, very, very faintly getting something on the screen. I'm going to just shut the garage door just so that you can see that. That is very, very, very faint. Stronger with seeing it with my eyes, but just get a point of reference. Actually, there's the right. Don't know if you can see that flickering, but there is definitely something there. That's a bit better. I've adjusted the ion trap a little bit more, and that is what we are getting now. That still, look, it's way out of focus. Yeah, but we are getting something on the screen. Getting brighter. You can definitely see something there now. Okay, so yeah, I will admit, well, I always admit my mistakes, but yeah, I will admit yesterday I made a bit of a rookie error. This is the first time I've ever had to do this in 10 years of doing up old TVs. It's the first time I've ever had to short, and now I learn, cathode to grid 1. Yeah, I knew that somewhere in the back of my mind there was something about connecting grid to ground or cathode to ground or something, so I looked it up. Yeah, and it's that. So yeah, yesterday I made a bit of a rookie error because I thought it was cathode to ground, because ground means it's at 0 volts, obviously. Now I'm a little bit more awake. That wouldn't really make much sense, would it? That wouldn't do anything really. Anyway, so yeah, and it seems as though the EHT is falling further, because now, first of all, that takes an absolute age to come on. See, and you have to twiddle that when you're switching it on, because it sort of comes on, then dims down as it warms up. So as it warms up, it comes on as bright as that, then dims down, and then you have to twiddle about and disconnect and reconnect that in order to get that to come on. So yeah, definitely something wrong in the EHT department. It's either the connector inside is so rusty, the tube socket is very rusty, that it can't get there, or it's going to be the EHT rectifier, which is just tucked behind those two line output and boost diode valves. Yeah, so there's something wrong in the EHT department. I'm also just wondering, how long is it since there was something last shown on that screen? 50 years? 60? Yeah. It's a long time since something's been on that screen, but there we are. Here we are in the 21st century, and it still sort of works. Okay, just a very quick test while I get my, just before I get my lunch. Just testing this with my EHT meter, and that is showing about 9 kilovolts. Right, so we're losing EHT somewhere. That's not, for a tube like that, should probably about 14, 15 kilovolts, and we're only getting 9. Oh, in fact, no, it's about 8, isn't it? The integers of 2 there. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Right, so that's about 8 kilovolts, so it's about, what I would say, around about half of what it should be. You know what, I've seen some bad designs, and then I've seen this. As of, let me just move that out of the way, sling that in the bin actually. Anyway, I would love to know who came up with this and thought that this would be a good design. This here, this tube thing, is a tube. It's the EHT rectifier, an EY51. And as I think I've described earlier in the video, it doesn't have pins as such, it has just wires coming out. One end here for the EHT, the other end for the heater and cathode supply. I would love to meet who came up with this and just tell them, and just show them how difficult it is to service, because it doesn't look, I've examined around it, it does not look as though that comes out, at least without disassembling the whole thing, which I am really loath to do because of the amount of effort and reward that I would get out of that. Sorry, the amount of effort that would go into doing that, out of the total reward I would get out of the whole set. I mean, just get my hand again in the camera strap. This is beyond redemption. I am not restoring this, just resurrecting one last time so that it can play. Just one more time before I strip it apart for spares and then throw the rest in the bin. But if that's gone, which it certainly seems like it has, if that's gone low emission or whatever, then what's even the point in continuing? The valves are not on. I'm wearing a red t-shirt today. What's even the point in continuing the rest of this if I can't get that out? And of course this, Philips being ever so helpful, they don't even describe it and how to do it in this. They describe how the circuit works, but I've had a good look and they don't explain how to get that out. It's as if it's not designed to come out unless the line output transformer is replaced, which of course 70 odd years on, there's no chance of that happening. Yeah, I was right. See, on the excellent, and I mean truly excellent, Vintage Radio Repair and Restoration Forum, there's another one, VRAT, and I think that there's a third one that I can't remember, I think Goulburn, but anyway. Does anyone remember, so Rone K in Scotland says, does anyone remember the Philips models from the early 1950s where the EY51, that thing, was housed in a bath of wax? Which you can see it is, look. It is, that's wax or something similar. Which had to be melted before you changed the valve and replaced after. Great, so I've got to, in order to change that, I've got to melt it. I've got to melt the wax. Yeah, this is a bad design. That EY50, that line output transformer, most of it, of course, is a good design, but that's bad. This must have been probably one of the last sets to have an EY51 EHT rectifier, which helps convert again an AC power supply that comes from the line output valve. It helps convert this AC to DC to power the tube, because this is fed directly from the anode or cathode. It's fed from one side of that. Right. Yeah, I should have known that. It's fed from the cathode. Of course it's fed from the cathode. And that's not sarcasm, that's my own stupidity. Of course it's fed from the cathode. Anyway, so yeah, that is the final thing that boosts or helps boost the voltage high enough to drive that, which then drives the final anode of the tube. That's a really, really bad design. I think I'm going to cut it here. I've got what I wanted, which was a picture on the screen. Okay, it's not of a live TV program, but time to cut it. Cut it here. Yeah, that EHT voltage should be a bit higher. 12 kilovolts it says on that for the EHT rectifier, and we've only got, what, about 8? I thought it would be a little bit higher than that, about 14 or 15, but yeah, anyway. That EY51, it's going to be either the EY51's low emission or maybe the overwind has gone. Either way, I no longer care about this. No longer care about this set. Sad really, isn't it? We were so close. If only that wasn't faulty, then I would have been able to drive my car up the street, and I would have been able to sort out the time-based thing. Yeah, after the battery ran out on this thing here, I tried shoving a signal from an Aurora into it. Right, tuned it to channel 4, not the Jeremy Isaacs Big Brother type, but VHF channel 4, because this set is a Midlands set, so it's Sutton Coldfield, which was VHF channel 4 for the BBC. I also tried other channels, and while we had sound, I've disconnected it today because the buzzing from that thing is starting to annoy me, but while we had sound, there was no test card, there was no tone coming through, and there should be, because we have a red light on the Aurora. So yeah, put that there. So bye bye Philips. Right, strip you apart for spares. Probably take out the line output transformer anyway and test it. But yeah, most of this is, I don't even think the Scrapman would take this. Look at it. So yeah, that design, I wouldn't say it's madness, but I've got a sudden compulsion to start singing Baggy Trousers.